So these fish are all getting along very well. They're all very healthy. They're not fat, they're not skinny. They're all friends. And it's looking really, really good. So it's time for a service. A little bit of discolor to the water, which means we could do with some water changes. Skimmer looks good, it's set well, definitely due for a clean. So now I'm just doing a gravel clean. Pull all the crap out of the gravel. There's a fair bit more sediment than usual in the bottom of this tank, so what I'm going to do is put some copepods in there. And the copepods are little microorganisms. They're going to come alive and run along the bottom of the tank, eating nutrients like worms in a compost heap. And then I'm going to use this container to take some water back to the shop and do a test with our spin test machine. The pH of this tank at the moment is 7.8 or 8, which is about the lowest I want it to be. So we just want to regularly add a little bit of this in just to raise the pH and pH. Running well now, and I'm going to add more algon to keep the nitrate and phosphate down so we can start reducing the algae a little bit. Because the nitrate's a little bit high and there is a fair bit of sediment in the sand, I'm going to do an extra water change. So there's starting to be a lot of waste in the back of this tank that I need to systematically remove, otherwise nitrates and phosphates will increase and algae will go up. Now this was a quarantine tank for a saltwater fish tank, and we've just got to hope that this doesn't suffer from the quarantine curse. Now what the quarantine curse is so often I'll be involved in a saltwater aquarium like this one, or the one that this quarantine tank normally supports, and the quarantine tank is the saltwater tank is absolutely beautiful, and all the fish are very healthy, and they do not need a quarantine tank because all the fish are loving it. Then after a period of time you get confident and then you think, oh, I don't need a quarantine tank anymore. Then you go and convert the quarantine tank into a fish tank, so the quarantine tank is no longer available as a quarantine tank, and then somehow that's when you end up getting a disease in your main tank. So that's just something that I want to draw attention to, is that there is some sort of magic with a quarantine tank, and when a quarantine tank is actually available as a quarantine tank, somehow you never get disease in your main tank. But then when you go and get too confident and then you put fish in your quarantine tank, then somehow you end up with a disease in your main tank and you need the quarantine. But anyway, that's the risk you take, and let's hope that's not the case here. If you have had a similar experience, make sure you put a little note on the bottom of this video.